We may not have yet started the 2020 Formula 1 season, but in what is already one of the biggest news stories of the year, Ferrari has confirmed that Sebastian Vettel is leaving. Four-time F1 world champion Vettel had been in talks with Ferrari over a new contract for a number of months, but with negotiations breaking down, Ferrari announced in a statement on Tuesday that Vettel would not be renewing his contract, taken as a joint decision. The news is set to have massive ramifications on the F1 driver market, kicking off silly season for 2021 as one of the most coveted seats on the grid is freed up. But who will replace Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari and partner Charles Leclerc in the future? Daniel Ricciardo is an obvious contender to join Ferrari, having previously been linked with a move to Maranello back in 2018 when he was considering his future with Red Bull. Ricciardo would be a decent fit for Ferrari. He's easygoing, likeable, and even speaks a little Italian. Oh, and importantly, he's quick. The 7-time Grand Prix winner was mooted as a potential teammate for Vettel in the past, but there were concerns about having two number one drivers within one team. It is something that Ferrari has never been a great fan of in the past, and, as we saw last year, it doesn't always go to plan. Ricciardo is entering the final year of his Renault contract in 2020, and is likely to be considering his next step after a difficult first season with the team. Renault has stressed it still wants Ricciardo to be part of its long-term goal for F1 domination, but will the Honey Badger be convinced by its plans, or would the pull of a drive with Ferrari be too great to ignore? But even if Ricciardo was keen on a move, Ferrari would need to consider how he would fit alongside Leclerc. With a 5-year contract under his belt, young Charles is clearly the man it sees leading it into the future. The presence of Ricciardo could create another dynamic of having two roosters in one coupe, as no matter how smiley the Australian may be on the outside, he's still a fierce competitor within. Ricciardo is perhaps the quickest driver realistically available to Ferrari right now, but would he really be the best fit? Ferrari might want to consider a more traditional number 2 driver. And no, I don't mean Mark Webber. Carlos Sainz was one of the midfield stars for McLaren in 2019, proving himself to be a real smooth operator, even if his singing skills needed a little bit of work. Sainz fought his way to finish as best of the rest in the championship last year and scored his first ever F1 podium in Brazil to end the season on a high. The Spaniard's stock is higher than ever, making it logical for McLaren to open early contract talks over the winter to try and tie him down beyond 2020. But now a top-line seat has come up. Could Sainz be lured away from Woking for a shot at fighting for race wins? Sainz would definitely act as a riskier option for Ferrari. He has just one podium finish to his name and may take time to get up to speed when fighting the likes of Hamilton and Verstappen on a regular basis at the front. Then again, Ferrari also took a risk when it promoted Leclerc for 2019, and look how that turned out. Sainz would naturally be eager to fight for race wins and championships, but is perhaps more fitting to the number 2 role than Ricciardo would be. If Ferrari feels it has been burned too badly by the experience of putting Leclerc and Vettel together, then reverting to some kind of hierarchy could be attractive. It would surely be a career opportunity Sainz could not say no to. If he plays his cards right, he could become Ferrari's new Operatore Regolare. That's smooth operator in Italian. Moving on. Should Ferrari wish to dip into its junior academy, Antonio Giovinazzi is currently the leading name and has 1 year of F1 experience under his belt with Alfa Romeo. The pull of having an Italian driver racing for Ferrari is strong. Giovinazzi would be the first since Giancarlo Fisichella's late season switch in 2009. But it would also represent a huge gamble from Ferrari. While Giovinazzi did enough last year to secure himself a second season in F1 for 2020, he struggled to impress to the same level as Leclerc did during his 1 year spell at Alfa Romeo. There are a number of drivers with greater experience than Giovinazzi out there, making him a real outside bet for the seat, but a name worth keeping in mind nonetheless. If Ferrari really did want to go for broke and sign the biggest name possible, then Lewis Hamilton would be the obvious target. Hamilton is out of contract at Mercedes at the end of the year and has been in talks with the team over a lucrative new deal that only a 6-time world champion could really demand. Talk of Hamilton making a switch to Ferrari was sparked at the end of last year when it emerged Lewis had met with Ferrari chairman John Elkann at a social event. The allure of racing for Ferrari to close out his career would surely appeal to Hamilton, but realistically, turning his back on the Mercedes operation after so much success seems highly unlikely. Hamilton even addressed reports of a move to Ferrari directly in a post on Instagram last month, writing, "There is no dream of a dash to another team. I am with my dream team. There's not a thing in my way as I'm not trying to move. I'm with the people who have cared from day one. We are the best team." It was quite the rally cry. Still, flirting with Ferrari has strengthened Hamilton's hand in talks with Mercedes, and Vettel's exit will only add to his demands. Now there is a genuine option at a rival team. Will that threat be serious enough for Mercedes to cough up the money to keep him? Who else could factor into Ferrari's considerations though? The chances are team principal Mattia Binotto had a number of voicemails and missed calls to wade through this morning. Mercedes' own decision on its driver lineup for 2021 could also play a factor. If it does decide to drop Valtteri Bottas and find Lewis Hamilton a new teammate, could Bottas be an option for Ferrari? He certainly has the experience of racing for a front-running team and is a proven race winner who could work well with Leclerc. Should Ferrari wish to dip into the F1 midfield, then maybe Sergio Perez could be a contender after his impressive few years with Racing Point. However, his long-term deal with the team could complicate things. And there is a world champion who is currently a free agent, Fernando Alonso. But the Spaniard remains uncertain over F1's current state, which will be unchanged for 2021 with the regulation carryover. Oh, and let's not forget how sour his exit from Ferrari was at the end of 2014, shortly burning any bridges that could possibly take him back to Maranello. Right now, the smart money would suggest it's a two-horse race between Carlos Sainz Jr. and Daniel Ricciardo to race for Ferrari in 2021. But, as today's shock announcement proved, when it comes to silly season, you must expect the unexpected.